and gentlemen, welcome back to Red Bull LAN Orlando day number 2.
Yeah.
Where we're doing what we call a little bit of fan service. And that's right. This is not like a soap opera where two people are going to get married because that's what everyone wanted.
Right.
We're, in fact, just going to watch MorroW battle because you requested it.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm
Unless
fine
there's
with
any
that.
ladies out there who want to marry MorroW, and then we might be able to arrange that. And that did not sound like a lady, but that's okay. So, yeah, we've got MorroW versus actually one of our focus players. However, Hasu's focus is going to be versus Protoss, right?
Yes.
That is correct, right? So, you know, getting a chance to see MorroW versus not only a teammate, but also a great Protoss, Hasu, this should be a great one, too.
Oh, yeah, and of course, I wanted to just note that as we were panning all the way around back over to this booth, you saw that great wall of text. That is our Twitter wall of glory here at the Red Bull LAN. If you use the hashtag RBLAN, and feel free to tweet to us. I'm Day9TV.
And I'm at DJ Wheat.
And Rob Simpson is here as well under the name, oh, God, the community loves Rob. Feel free to tweet to us. And if you use that hashtag RBLAN, you can show up on the wall. And, of course, anything you'd like to just give us feedback on the LAN, we can just see it right there. And the crowd can see it. So if you want to say hi to crowd, you can do that. Or you can just go, hi, crowd. They're so well trained. Now let's go ahead and hop into this game.
Oh, I guess I should join you, maybe? That would be good.
Let me go ahead and suggest you to the game. And it looks like you have popped in. It looks like MorroW's going to be playing against HasuObs on the map, Antigua Shipyard, and we got the chance to see MorroW's ZVP and ZVT yesterday, and another Zerg vs. Terran on a very different map.
Yeah, so, I mean, versus HasuObs, who, as you mentioned in sort of the intro, talking a little bit about how he likes to go with a little bit more standard style of play and him working on new builds. That's exciting to me because I've heard people say before that, oh, you know, I like HasuObs, but he does bring that standard set of play. And hearing that Hasu wants to open and expand his horizons a little bit, you know, that's exciting as a fan of him.
You know, I can't wait for that interview to come up with Hasu later on today. And he talks about exactly what you were just saying, Marcus, that standard sort of play where he plays, you know, very methodically. And one thing that I just love so much about getting into that depth is that Hasu also talks about the fact that, you know, he ends up with a lot of frustrating losses and, he goes to his friends and is like, that game was so stupid, I'm annoyed. And then always inevitably, he returns back to the game, analyzes once he feels better, and always puts the burden back on himself. It's so easy to claim that my units aren't good enough. Oh, you know, Blizzard wins the next patch for my race, et cetera, et cetera. HasuObs never does that. He always just credits himself with the reason that he lost. And as a result, that's really what's helped him step forward and be so consistent. He's really, honestly, with him and Sokka, they're the top 2 players in Germany, no doubt.
Now, of course, there's one exception to that, and that's when Stefano said that, you know, I think Protoss actually does need a buff or something. Every Protoss was like, that Zerg is right. And yeah, not me, though. I was so anyway, the pool is down. Of course, there's going to be a block on the hatch, but MorroW's going to quickly take a turn with that drone. Is he going to head over to the third and just plant it there? He may just wait for his pool to get up, and then he could put the second and the third down, as we've seen him do that before. Now, Hasu is going to go ahead and open Forge first, and then get ready to possibly drop that Nexus rather quickly.
And there goes down the pylon. Often when players plant down this pylon, part of it is to block the hatchery. The other reason is back home, you can actually begin spending all of your chrono boost on probes. Ordinarily, you can't do this and build the Nexus early on, but if you build this other pylon, see it finishing right there, boop, 18 to 26 food, and now we can see Hasu comfortably start the 19th probe.
Now, MorroW did get a little probe harassment over here at the third as well. The Zerglings are going to be popping out soon. Oh, he did drop it down just as the drone about to get in. But the Zerglings are out. Now, we've seen this before. Is MorroW going to go for some sort of cancel into Evo chamber for an... Actually, it's not in a position that I think he can even do that. So... he's just going to try to keep that Nexus from going down as quickly as possible.
Oh, wow. I mean, this is a weird spot because if you actually build a queen from this hatch, it can pop out before the hatch dies, even if a Zealot comes out somewhat early. So what this means is that you can run to the top side and plant down a creep tumor. Yeah, and then the opponent can't expand. And it's a time like this that I really want to sing Mighty MorroW Power Ranger.
Overlord peeks in and And now we see the cannon starting to work on that hatchery. Meanwhile, the hatchery at the natural has gone down, but we'll keep a close eye on exactly what he plans to do. Now, Hasu has a probe there just in case he decides to go ahead and cancel. And there it is. So the probe can now drop. Actually, no, he doesn't have the 400, but he's going to be dropping it any moment. And, you know, like, that's the decision to make. Do you go ahead and give up those 300 minerals, but now he can put down that third rather quickly? You know, I mean, what are your thoughts on it? Should he have let it finish?
Well, here's a really nice analysis comes from this units lost tab where we see it has 81 resources lost from that hatch cancel in addition to a geyser cancel down here. And what that means is that MorroW was waiting for Hasu's 2 photon cannons to finish. So that's 300 wasted for HasuObs. Sure, MorroW has his second hatch delayed and his third base delayed, but Protoss is honestly put in a much more awkward situation. Now, all of a sudden, all these buildings are vulnerable to lings at the front, which is exactly what we're seeing here.
Yep, and he tries to get down that pylon, and I mean, what's interesting about what he did is he forced the cannons to be built so far back to try to attack that hatchery that he doesn't have as much coverage in the front as he would like. Meanwhile, the third base has gone up for MorroW. He's got his overlords in a great position to be scouting. He's going to be getting, he's just going to be droning up right now as he's really just stuck with this no-gas style. Moving forward, one drone still inside the base, just patrolling around and getting, what little information he can get. And if that drone, well, he'll not be able to get out there, but we do see a Stargate going down for Hasu.
I was about to say, this is probably the best decision for Hasu right now. The one thing that has been delayed for everyone is planting down of expansions. So MorroW very much so behind on, in particular, his creep spread. What has not been slowed down for Hasu, his cybernetics core. He has gotten this Stargate started right on time at 7:30. It's probably going to be already churning out a Void Ray. So that means that Hasu can easily exploit this third base because there's no creep there. There's no creep adjoining it. MorroW's going to have to build quite an early evolution chamber to be able to deal with that.
Now this Overlord, Sean, in the northwest corner, it's moving away, and it's moving away because he saw that Stargate. Within vision, he saw it building. However, Hasu, from his vision, could not see that Overlord. So I'm very curious about this because MorroW, I feel like, really knows that this is coming. I'm positive that he actually saw it, and I feel like he could probably defend this without a problem. However, I'm not sure that Hasu knows that he saw it quite yet, and I wonder what he's going to pump out after that Void Ray.
I would not be surprised to see a whole bunch of Phoenixes right after that. Hasu likes to play very standard. I don't think he'll go for any sort of big, aggressive, multi-Void Ray push. But here comes Hasu with the Stalker and Zealot. That's the big key piece. Queens will be trundling along that non-creep spread between the two bases. And as a result, he can use the Zealot Stalker to pick it off, further increasing the use of the Void Ray. But it looks like Hasu, does go Overlord hunting. So this means that MorroW does have the opportunity to get those extra Queens and extra anti-air up.
Meanwhile, some slow lings through the middle of the map, just trying to work and chase that Stalker away. We do have another Void Ray coming out of the Stargate as it's being chrono boosted to try to get out as quickly as humanly possible. But these lings here from MorroW, you're going to watch them scatter across the map as he tries to get as much vision as he possibly can. Meanwhile, in the south, we do have the Void Ray moving over to the main base of MorroW. Already has one Spore Crawler underway. Lair is coming out too. He may have to bring one of these Queens from natural over, but we also got a second Evo and a Roach Warren going down. So what will this Void Ray do? He'll actually just move right past the main, possibly make his way over to the third, where we do have 2 Queens and a Spore Crawler as well.
Wow, MorroW doing minimum defense needed. He has 1 Spore in the main, 1 Spore at the third, and other than that, absolutely no spores. He's going to rely on Queens and Creep to keep himself alive, and he has to do some excellent judgment calls at those points in time. Is my opponent still making air? Is he not? Do I need a Hydra Den? Etc.
There's the second Void Ray is spotted by that dead Zergling that's over there in the corner. Void Ray took him out, and so this will change things a little bit, but if you look at where the best defense against this is, it's right here at the third with these Queens. And we got the Void Ray now moving over to the middle, so maybe he's not going to commit to that attack. Forward pylon from Hasu at the far south third. He's continuing to poke forward with these Zerglings who do now have speed, and this small army is starting to move out now as we have several sentries and stalkers making their way to the middle. So he's got to start thinking about how exactly he's going to deal with this force that is closing in on his base.
It looks like there was a Nidus Worm being constructed by MorroW, but it looks like he canceled the Nidus network once he saw this huge push coming. Really needed that extra gas to get around. A Hydra's out, 13 Hydras about to pop. Moving that one Spore Crawler forward. Hasu's really doing a 2-base heavy push. Look at all the gateways at that backside. He has 6 gateways at the back, 1 at the front. The big 7-gate push incoming there, the Hydras. Those force fields aren't going to be nearly as useful against the Hydras as they are versus the Roaches, but some very nice transfuses in that super cluster area in between all the force fields.
Yeah, I mean, so far the Hydra's really focusing down those Void Rays, and neither of them have fallen. The Zerglings coming in, a few of those sentries do get eliminated. There's only one left, has very, very little amount of energy remaining, and now he has got to, and as he moves forward, look at that. Hasu with a force inside the main base has not moved forward yet, but if the attack at the third doesn't work, let's get an attack inside the main.
Meantime, on the production tab, we do see that HasuObs has begun that robotics facility. Wants to tech forward a little bit more, but now he has a 4 Zealot assault going down in the main base. Great tactical display by both players this game. Hasu really putting the pressure on, but MorroW leaves most of his units at the front to just annihilate this force with fast Lings and Hydras on 3. The layer getting target fired by Hasu. That layer falls, no Nidus networks coming up anytime soon, but there's a nice surround. MorroW cleans up this attack from Hasu while sacrificing the layer.
Yeah, and is he going to have any chance of saving here? The Hydras come out, but no, just too much damage done. He will clean it up, and he did clean up the army, which was attacking at the third. But losing that layer, like you said, that will put him back just a little bit. Where's the new layer being constructed yet? It is not quite yet.
Oh! Nice play by MorroW, picking off both of them Void Rays. Oh, more Zealots walking on in, trying to see if they can kill off anything possible. And it looks like the Phoenix is not attempting the strategy to lift the Queen up and drop her down on the Zealot spikes.
Wouldn't that be nice?
That would be very cool. That is the Dungeons and Dragons version of StarCraft 2.
There you go. There you go. Now we have a force moving forward. It looks like these slow Hydras are going to make their way all the way over. Keep in mind that MorroW knows that his opponent is not with a third as well. He's been scouting around the map. He's got pretty good vision. But I feel like he also really needs to get rid of these pylons, which have just basically been there for warping in the those Zealots. Now, he's decided, well, hold on. We've got an attack here at the front. The force fields go down. Some Lings just go ahead and hold position, and look at these Hydras still able to beat away on this gateway here. So what do you think about this push forward here? Pretty aggressive for MorroW.
MorroW's exploiting the fact that there's a wall in at the front, Wheat. The problem is really that the Hydras don't have much use other than this attack. What if it gets too far into the game and too many Colossi end up popping up? A pure Hydraless army is not going to be very useful at that point. That's why MorroW's reinforcing with largely Roaches. But I think that the point that you talked about earlier is the critical one, that these pylons are still peppering the map. He needs to clean those up to help avoid any sort of counter. Or he can get a Nidus Worm and be totally kick-ass.
Right, and it's something we may actually see. I mean, here's another attack at the front. Those Roaches that were inside the main to defend have gone and joined this main army. More units falling down. The Forge has almost fallen as well, and that will be deflected by Hasu.
Great defense there by HasuObs. Really, really nice. And still doing these warpings in the main.
Yeah, that Zealot was actually sitting up there in the smoke for quite a while. He waited for those Roaches to leave, and then he went back in. But handled, nicely without really panicking at all. Now moving back are all of MorroW's units, but look at what is following right behind it. A nice gateway army, and a couple of Immortals and a Colossus put in there as well. Finally, that pylon has been seen, but I don't think it's going to get taken out.
The Sentry does manage to escape with his life, but the worst angle possible for MorroW, attacking from behind the minerals, and it looks like with that range upgrade on the Colossus, it can do huge amounts of damage, plus the force fields. But MorroW knows when his army is too big, he's just going to go ahead and push right forward, driving Hasu back. That crazy exchange from the start is now leaving MorroW in an advantageous position. He may be able to take out the Colossus.
And he does it. The Colossus is microed back, and he continues to just push these Roaches forward. And those Colossus are now getting in front of the pack. He's got to stop all of his other units, and Immortal falls as well. And MorroW should be able to push right into there. And basically, Hasu has to be able to hold this off and try to get a third up if he has any chance of trying to win this game. But I just feel like MorroW has pushed himself too far into his opponent's base.
MorroW doing some great work, pushing back. Phenomenal Colossus control by HasuObs. Absolutely brilliant Colossus micro, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. It's 150 food versus 75 food. At any point in time, it looks like MorroW's doubling Hasu.
He did clean that up quite nicely. He's going to follow behind it with a pack of roaches, also taking the X Gold over here in the center. And we talked about this yesterday as well, and that is the fact that this is kind of a difficult base to not only hold on to, but just to grab in general. You know, a lot of players will try to take the base just to the south of that and take down the rocks, because if you lose this position in the middle, then it's really easy to just see this base completely devastated.
It's a finicky kind of base, because if you're pushing aggressively the way MorroW is, this is the least vulnerable location to counter harassment, to drops, but it's the most vulnerable to those direct pushes. So if you think that you can maintain the lead and continue to press as the way MorroW is doing, then it's the best place to take. But if you misjudge that, then you've essentially set yourself up with a huge weakness.
And this is just bad news for Hasu as the third base is discovered and forced to be canceled. He really is in desperate need of that fourth base. If we look at his minerals real quickly, the patches have just deteriorated inside his main. And over here at the natural, we're looking at about 400 on a patch, so he is definitely working on a limited economy.
Oh, the hatch cancel at the front to spread creep. Love these little tricks that MorroW does to give himself the extra edge.
Yep, bringing that queen forward can be very helpful. Also issuing some transfuses if needed. It looks like the Psycore will also be in a critical position here to be taken out. And look at the roaches, just not enough force fields to close off the whole thing. They've scooted in from the side. They move forward, and all of these units from HasuObs are starting to fall.
Oh, Hasu with continued nice micro, keeping the Colossus alive. Hasu is so good at not dying, Marcus, but MorroW knows the way to deal with a player like this. The answer is to just continue to be aggressive. Hasu can't take a third no matter how badly he wants to, and no matter how well he can defend. It is all going to be a blunder from MorroW's point of view that would cause a loss, but MorroW has shown that he's essentially blunderless when he wants to be.
And MorroW is actually doing something that I've seen him do quite a bit this weekend here, training, and that is that at this point, which is typically considered fairly late in the game, he transitions to some Mutalisk to then try to, and there it is,
wow,
GG.
Good game, MorroW.
Didn't even need to use him.
Showing some total domination in that game, in the practice game we saw yesterday, and this is exactly what a lot of people are looking for. I mean, what's so weird to see about MorroW is that I almost feel like he ignores what the whole world says. He doesn't play really weird. He doesn't play really standard. He does whatever seems to be appropriate at the time. So we got the chance to see him build a hatch in the other guy's base and then cancel and go back to a really normal style and play it out orthodox. Then we saw him do the hatch cancel at the front to build the creep tumor right outside the base. All really cool mix.
MorroW always has seemed to be the type of player, and you kind of mentioned the same thing about HasuObs, in that he doesn't look and say, this unit from another race is like, it needs to be changed, or this is, you know, he deals with things differently. Like you said, he makes it work for himself, or he reacts accordingly. And I think it's a phenomenal skill to have. MorroW is a ridiculously intelligent individual, and he's one of my favorite players to talk to because I feel like he's always got so much insight to give on the game.
Yeah, and the one thing that's really cool to note is that right now we're going to go contrast MorroW's play with Rhett's